This is a simple dough. Flour, salt, yeast, and water. The entire 1 kilo bag, which is 2.2 pounds. I will just add the salt and the yeast right to it. Some yeasts need to be mixed in the water and allowed to sit for a while. This yeast is instant and it doesn't require that. So 600 milliliters of water. Now always when you're making a dough, I would add most of the water and then go slowly, because there's different variables like the ambient humidity, the moisture in the flour, that kind of thing. So add some of it and then start to mix it. Now the thing about pizza is it's not instant gratification. There's waiting for it to rise, etc., etc. So you have to just think a little bit ahead of time, make it a few hours ahead of time. So basically we're kneading it for 10 minutes. All we're doing is hydrating the flour and creating the gluten that's going to allow the dough to stretch. To test if the gluten has formed, you take a piece and you try and stretch it very thin, and so thin enough that it's translucent and you can see light through it. Obviously I didn't mix it for 10 minutes so you see it's tearing. After 10 minutes, this is what it's going to look like. Then when it's like this, you let it rise for 2 hours, about. If it's in a warm place, it could be 45 minutes to an hour. If it's in a cold place, it could be overnight. I would recommend doing the first rise not refrigerated, although you can do that as well. But do the first rise outside of the refrigerator for 2 hours until it doubled in size. So this is what it looks like when it's done. This is doubled in size, if not more. And so that's what you're looking for. So this particular recipe will give you pretty much 6 9-ounce portions. So after it's risen for 2 hours, divide it into 6 pieces, and then you have to form them into the dough balls. Now the technique here is similar to the original kneading process, but you want to form it into a very tight ball, like this, by folding it into itself and then sealing the bottom well so that there aren't any holes there. And then spray them, lightly spray or wipe with oil, and then put them on. Try and leave them with enough space. These doughs here have been rising overnight, and I pulled them out an hour or so ago. And these may have been refrigerated a couple days. Even the more you keep them, the more flavor you're going to get. Now, eventually the yeast will run out of life, and then they won't work anymore. So there is a shelf life. Flour it a little bit. As I said, not too much. So from this state, I start by just flattening it out. I never use a rolling pin because I flatten it completely, but I leave the crust unflattened. Make sure that it's not sticking, but don't overdo it, a little bit at a time. Stretch it evenly, 10 to 12 inches, more if you'd like. Again, you could always put this on a pan, then you don't have to worry about moving it around. Okay, so tomato sauce, a couple ounces. Leaving a little space on the edges for the crust. The salami, this is a very high quality salami, so it's going to be reminiscent of a pepperoni pizza, but on another level. A little bit of the oregano, freshly crumbled. A little bit of olive oil, and this is a pizza without mozzarella. Parmesan, and we'll put more of this on after it comes out. Now, another thing is if you don't have a peel and you'd like to try and do it, You can do it on the back of a pie pan or something. Flip it upside down. Obviously, you don't want it under the rim. Upside down. You could put it on there, and it can, and the same thing, slide it. One thing that's important is you want to make sure it's sliding. You don't want to get to the oven and find that it's sticking, and then you go to put it in, and it sticks. And then we'll go to the oven. Okay, so as I said, the best way to cook it at home, turn your oven up as high as you possibly can with a pizza stone inside there. If you have convection, that's even better. Give it a half an hour, 40 minutes to heat up. It's important to really get that pizza stone hot, and then just proceed just like we did. Throw it in the oven. And beautiful. And then
Well, they smell great, and they're not going to last very long. And we'd like to thank everyone for joining us. If you're local, make sure you get down to Café Capriccio. We've been doing it for 40 years. We're the best restaurant in Albany, hands down. You should come and see us.